hot, but let's see some of your moves.
Feeling free and it feels so right. Oh, time to do the things I like. Gonna see a princess, everything's alright. Oh, no job but an answer to. Ain't a fixture in the palace zoo. No, and since the carbon nights off me, I'm living life now that I'm free. Yeah, told me get myself together. Now I got myself together. Now I made it through the weather. Better days are gonna get better. I'm so happy the carbon night is gone. I'm moving on. I'm so happy that it's over now. The pain is gone. I'm putting on my shades to cover up my eyes. I'm jumping in my ride. I'm heading.
There we are. We're back. And you know what? I got last week's show up pretty quick on the feed.
Very cool.
I put it up that night. So I went upstairs before I had this set up and set up everything other than putting the file in it. So I'm getting a little better.
Working like a well-oiled machine.
Well, I don't know. It's well-oiled by Ben Gay. Yeah.
Just an oiled machine. I don't know about the well part.
Yeah, it's just pour oil all over the place. But so
well, it's oiled machine.
So before we start, Ken, give us your introduction of where people can find you and.
Well, when I'm not costuming as Kenix Gar Kabur, you can find me on The Rambling Star Wars Fan and The Forces Behind Star Wars.
And John?
The Beskar Bucket. That's the only place I'll be.
Well, and trooping with where? Trooping with what garrison? You're like a trooping machine.
I wouldn't go so far to say a trooping machine, but I'm with the Ohio Garrison as a part of Burning River Squad. The next place you'll see me is at Cincinnati Comic Expo next weekend.
Nice. So, is your dad going?
Dad is the one who's more excited to go.
Oh, nice.
You've created a monster.
I know.
And you'll find me here, and possibly if I ever get Creative Cast off the ground again, and Zoe's podcast, Star Wars Geek Girl, once she's off the hiatus of the writer's strike. So. And anyone tuning in will try to steer clear of anything that the writer's strike, and we support the writers and actors, and we're trying to love what they do and support them, right? So,
well, thankfully we have 44 plus years of stuff to talk about. We don't have to necessarily dip our toes into the recent stuff that is quote unquote struck. Right.
Well, and so we'll start with what we're working on here. I got to get my banners going here. I need like the father and son. They have someone actually run all the other stuff for them. So we need like a third person.
Well, if I could remember to log in as a member of the team, we could.
Yeah, well, you have to try to log in. Don't you have a login? I don't know.
I always forget which one I use on which one.
Well, don't use the one with my email. I don't know. We'll figure that out one of these.
Well, oiled machine.
Yeah, we're an oiled machine here. I don't even know where my tickers are now. Here we go. Costume corner. There we go. Has anyone worked on anything? Anyone? Come on.
Bueller.
Is John? You're too young for that.
Reference? I know who Ferris Bueller is.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen that movie in years, so I didn't know how well it aged.
I haven't seen it. I know of it.
Oh, okay. So I was right.
I know of the movie, though. I understand the reference.
Okay. Well, I bet you Caravan of Courage aged better than that. That's my guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think more folks would remember stuff from Ferris Bueller than they would of Caravan of Courage.
Well, right, but does that mean it ages well? Because I've known a lot of shows and movies that I've had these fond memories for, and then I go back to watch. I'm like, oh man, it's really, I forget one of the Chuck Norris movies, Invasion USA or something. Like when I was a kid, that was like, oh man, this is like the greatest like pseudo Rambo type movie. And then it was on like TBS or something a couple years ago. I was like, oh my god, this wouldn't even be a B. This would be like a straight to the video at the Dollar Tree, So anyway, my costume corner. I did get some stuff done. I got the Sabine season 1 bucket done, which I was very happy with.
Is that the one you're sending out?
Yeah, that's going out actually tomorrow. I was going to send it out today, but I had to touch up there's a stupid little yellow symbol on the back because Dave likes putting symbols that make it a pain to paint, and I just want to make sure that paint was completely dry before I throw bubble wrap around it. But yeah, I was happy with that. I'm happy with the stencils. And then on top of Costume Corner, I ran out of yellow, but I have all but one paragraph printed for my staircase. So, and now I understand honestly why that people charge $200 for those stickers, because I was ready to throw everything out my window trying to get all those crickets on the, I had a 24-inch mat, which for those that don't use a Cricut doesn't make any sense. And I'm trying to peel these individual letter sheet off without tearing or messing them up. And yeah, it was not fun. But it should be unveiled for the big Jersey pilgrimage if all that's still going on.
The forces behind Star Wars field trip?
Yes. So it should be. Now, that could go, it could go hard. There's still plenty of things that can go horribly wrong with that. IG-11, I'll move him. I was going to move him down tonight, but I got in a cooking mood and made vegan crab cakes and broccoli with vegan hollandaise sauce and all that. And it took me like 2 hours. So.
Ask the question, John. Go ahead.
No,
that's all you. It's made with hearts of palm instead of crab meat.
So it's palm cakes?
It's not palm trees. I think if I remember correctly, now I could be wrong on this, but hearts of palm is this little plant that's actually called swamp cabbage, but most people like,
hey, can you make me up a plate of swamp cabbage, please?
So I think, I don't know, but hearts of palm, it does the canned hearts of palm. It comes in cans or jars. So, and it does, I wouldn't say it tastes like real crab meat, but if you make crab cakes from like canned crab meat, it has the same consistency and flavor. And then when you put a little bit of kelp and some stuff in it, and it's healthy, like it's all healthy stuff. I'm trying to go back
for the ocean flavor.
Huh?
The kelp gives
it like a little bit of ocean flavor, and then I live right above Maryland, work in Maryland. You have to put like a bucket of Old Bay in anything with the word crab in it, I mean, but so then you make that. I'm just been trying to eat healthy because I just got. It's easy to eat unhealthy as a vegan because especially now they have so many like prepared fake meats and stuff, and it just makes you lazy. And I'm trying to, but I got if I get in a cooking mood, so I made all of that and I made chili. So all the stuff I was going to do for Star Wars just got turned into me cooking since I got home till literally a half hour before I came down here. I was just cooking all night. So I have all my food cooked till about Sunday.
Oh, that's awesome.
But and my problem is I don't know portion control. So like I made a pot of chili, a full crock pot of vegan chili, which we'll probably eat every other meal until we're sick of it, and then I'll just freeze some of it. But yeah, so but I got IG-88, and then the other thing that kind of leads us into Costume Corner was the Dianovos. What is that name of that company? Because I feel like I'm always butchering it.
I think I was Duanovos.
I don't know. Whatever the company. Huh?
I thought the guy who because I always forget his name, but the guy who Zoe interviewed,
Yeah.
I always thought he pronounced it Dueno Novo.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever it's pronounced. I should just record him and then just carry it on my phone and just hit that button. But they just released a pre-order for the TK kit, which are if since they bought Anovos' stuff, they'll be using those solid metal blanks, so you get super crisp lines and stuff. And this isn't a commercial for them, but I have Anovo suits, and I know like that's what. As much as people like to knock Anovos, that's what made a giant jump in the members of the 501st, because it was the first time ever that the average guy didn't have to go through all the little like web searches to find a good suit of armor.
Yep.
And so they'll be using the same blanks, and they are beautiful suits. I didn't notice if they include the bucket or not.
You know what? I because I looked at it. I looked at the page today, and I didn't even look.
And that's just the armor bits, not the boots or the gloves or anything like
It's
that.
well, when I bought it, it was everything but the boots and the gloves, but it was the undersuit and the neck seal.
Wow.
But I don't know if it's just a hard plastic. $650 now, like when they first came out, they were $350. The initial Anovos offering years back that that kind of shot it all up. But then
it is just the armor, helmet, neck seal sold separately. Undersuit, footwear, and blaster not included.
Okay.
Tools, paint, and glue not included. Yeah, so it's just the armor.
Does the belt? Does it say anything about the cloth belt?
Let's look at the parts list. Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, if that's not on your immediate description. To be truthful with you, I don't even see the hard piece for the belt.
Yeah, that has to be included though, because
right,
belt has to size up because
there we go. Yeah, it looks like the belt and the holster are included.
Okay, that's what I was assuming.
And it looks like the pre-trimmed joining strips.
Yeah, they give you tons of trimmed strips for those,
and a strapping system too. That's nice.
A strapping system,
like all the straps to strap together.
Oh, like the garters or what? Like so, this attaches to that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it depends on what method you use. Like if you set it up like Force Awakens or like Rogue One, the straps go a different way. Is it now? Which armor is it? Does it say? Is it New Hope?
The helmet looks like a New Hope. Because I'm looking at the instructions. Let me just look at the actual pictures. Yeah, it's a New Hope.
Good. That's yeah. Well, so anyone out there that's like thinking about starting a TK, I don't know what the ship time is on that. But if they get a good ship time, that's a good price.
Q1, so probably Q3.
Yeah. Well, they've been better. Their dates have gotten better with that, because what happened was, I think with the Sabine helmet, I don't know if I got one that was just made ahead of time, but those things, they just closed those off like pretty quick. Probably because they realized, well, shit, we're going to have to make a different Sabine helmet, because who wants season 2?
Yeah, they added, not only did they add the TK, they added a couple new Dinjarin helmets.
Oh, nice. Wait, how many does he have?
3. So you've got the clean Beskar helmet. Well, clean. It's got weathering. You have the Mudhorn battle helmet.
Yeah, that seems like a very select few of people that are going to want that.
Right. And then you've got the battle damaged helmet from the season 2 finale.
Wait a minute, battle? When was his helmet battle?
When he got punched by the Dark Trooper and the flamethrower to the face.
Oh, right.
I'm surprised that I haven't seen anybody do the little light attachment for his helmet.
Yeah. Well, it comes with the Hasbro one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Hasbro one has that little flashlight on the side.
Yeah, it's a detachable piece, but
Yeah.
also it looks like they added the patrol trooper from Solo too. That's the first time I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was they're going through all the inventory of what Anovos had, and they had a lot of that stuff ready to go. I think
Mhm.
they were just really bad with their money. You know what I mean? Because that's what they inherited all that, and then Ruby's on top of that already makes stuff. So
Well, I mean, rubies is rubies.
yeah, but they at least have, like, for them, which I don't understand. It doesn't cost any more to make a bad one than an expensive one when it comes in the tool and cut. Like if you have to get someone to manufacture this Darth Vader helmet, it probably costs the same amount of money to manufacture a really crappy setup as on the manufacturing side. Now it might cost more to make the helmet,
Mm-hmm.
but
Costs the same on the licensing side too.
And also think about the who are they marketing this to? Are they marketing it to people that just want a nice costume to go trick or treating with their kids,
right,
or are they marketing it to knuckleheads like us who are concerned about screws and glue lines
right.
to make sure we can get approved or not? And even though I haven't worked on anything recently, I am excited to say that this coming weekend, if our plans go smoothly, Heather and I will be going up to Pennsylvania to another Mando Mercs armor party.
Oh, nice.
So we might get some stuff done up there, and then later this month, Heather's meeting with her seamstress,
And
So-
and you're going to have a pit droid to work on.
and in a couple weeks I'll have a pit droid to work on. I've come up with a name for him already.
All right, are you going to tell us, or is it going to wait?
Yeah, it'll be P3T3.
Ah,
So it'll be Pete the Pit Droid.
nice. Oh, nice.
Very nice.
And
Yeah.
I know this isn't Costume Corner, but I have a protocol droid head that I got from the Hinton factory,
Yeah.
and I was wondering if either one of you knew how I could put a light inside of it, around where its mouth is, and run a wire outside of it, because I want to make him into a co-host, and so I want this wire to attach to a little button, and every time I push the button, the light lights up to make it look like he's talking.
Mike's the resident electrician, so I'll leave that question to him.
No, you know what you need? You need to just make his head move. Like,
It's a bit more involved than a light, but I like where you're
In
going
that
with
case,
it.
I just put his head on a stick. But
well, because I looked into the droid heads. There's a device you can buy on Amazon where you can record anything you want, and it has a motion sensor built in. And so I was going to put that in so it would peek out the droid's mouth. So if someone walked by, and I was going to have Dan record stuff for me as droids, and so it would,
You mean like the talking fish?
similar, very similar to the talking fish. But as for a light, man, you just need a push button LED.
okay,
Like when you come up, I have LEDs. I'll give you a string of LEDs. All we have to do is cut one line and put what's called a momentary switch on it,
okay.
and then you could just run it as long as you want and just hit the momentary, and it'll go
Yeah,
off.
almost like Morse code kind of thing, to be able to
Yeah.
just tap it when I want to and have it, because it just would light up inside. It doesn't have to be even the light itself. The LED doesn't have to be visible, but close enough to the mouth so that the light shines through the
Yeah,
mouth.
just put a piece of not screen, but put like a fabric over it, like a thin black fabric. And if you load it with LEDs, it should make the fabric just brighten up a little bit, so it looks like something's moving in there.
Okay,
That would be
that
my
makes sense.
2 cents on the whole thing.
Okay,
Or just put big like wax lips on it.
big red Mick Jagger lips, like
Yeah,
ice noodles.
Yeah. So I mean, I have my list of Costume Corner stuff. So I'm like, I mean, I made a list. I have a dual notebook now, and I'm just plugging away at my list. So
The files just got released for the thing that's at the top of mine, which you guys know about, so I'm very excited for that.
Oh
I continue to be amazed at how fast those things come out.
I know.
Well, two things on that. I still think some of these guys either work for the industry and they've already made them and they just have ways to release them slightly differently, or there's just a piece of software that we don't know about. Because I find it hard to believe, like, because I have matched up files before on the print bed and they're exactly the same. I find it hard to believe that two people that claim to have built files separately that they match up perfectly. There's just something we're missing. You know? But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of files. Like there's that one, because I joined the live action group for Zoe's character, and there's some beautiful files. But I just bought even more files, and I'm just like, oh. Like if I die, there's an external hard drive to my computer that has all my.
Well, you better make sure that thing goes into. I know it goes into your will somewhere somehow.
Yeah.
So,
Mike, I know I'm not one of your actual children, but I feel like I have earned at least that hard drive.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Like if I could, I think if someone would will me a print farm, I would just print stuff. You know, I just enjoy, like I was doing a lightsaber for Zoe's costume, and we didn't get it done for the other day, but I was like, why? But it was just so cool to watch it come out, you know. But then you get those print fails. I haven't had a print fail on that one printer ever. And then when I have a time constraint, I come home from work from spaghetti. I'm like, oh man, really?
I'm actually bringing up, just so you're aware, I'm bringing up a thumb drive so I can finally get those pictures from the Mandalorian experience that you know, from like 3 years ago. Or
We've
whatever.
been promising for 18 months.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. What pictures?
From the last celebration, not London celebration,
Anaheim.
but Anaheim, from when you went to the Mandalorian experience.
Yeah. Well, I think I put them in Google Drive somewhere, but it doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't help me if I don't have the link. So.
Well, that's true too. I might, yeah. My Google Drive that's a whole nother.
I mean, I have a vegetarian cookbook on my bookshelf over here, but you can't cook anything out of it if I don't give it to you.
But yeah, there's so many costs. I mean, like I look at Din, and then soft goods. I just need to know how to sew. I just need to that's.
See, one of the things Heather and I talk about this quite regularly, and on our last road trip, because we had hours, you know, of open road, we had lots of room to talk. I've heard people say that they don't know what they're going to do when they retire. And I'm thinking, how in the wild world of sports can you not have something to do? I have a list of 1,432 things that I want to do that I know that I could do if I were to retire tomorrow. I wouldn't be able to afford to do them, but I know that I would have those things to do.
Well, you know, I think some people, I don't know if John's generation is this way, but my generation, like you had to graduate, go to college or trade school, get married, and then you had to become an adult, and you weren't allowed to do certain fun things. And then you would have these people pine their entire life to eventually, I want to get that hot rod I've been dreaming about since I was 25. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think the people now are slightly more healthy in that, where they have hobbies, and you know. But yeah, I'm with you. These people that say they don't have anything to do, you know, mine unfortunately is contingent on money too. So. And I made a mistake of starting my career in my late 30s, which was not the best timing either.
Yeah, my problem is I wasn't born into extreme wealth.
Well,
that's my problem.
And
I was given this face. I mean, I blame my parents for that. I never made it into runway modeling or anything like that.
Yep. Yeah. Well, at least we're safe now. They caught our murderer that was running around in Chester County.
Well, I saw that. I was going to ask you about that, but I completely forgot about it.
Did you see the funniest part of the whole story? If there could be a funny part to it,
Wait, he escaped? Or that he was wearing an Eagles shirt.
Well, that part I thought was really, really funny. But did you hear how he got caught?
No.
So he got caught because well, part of the story is um, the canine police that were there released the dog, and the dog, went and kind of subdued him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what the dog's name is?
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, Yoda.
John, do you know what the dog's name is?
I do not.
Yoda.
Really?
Yeah. He was stopped by Yoda. Well, no, it's funny because in that same area, that's where down near Longwood Gardens, there's the Andrew Wyeth Museum. Have you ever been there?
I've been by. I haven't actually been to it.
My uncle stole one of those paintings when I was in high school. he went to jail.
From the museum.
Yeah. He. This is one of my favorites. This is the weirdest story in my entire life, kind of.
No, it's not.
Well, okay.
It's the weirdest one you're telling right now.
Okay. No, so what my uncle was a professional thief. When I was a kid, I had this uncle, and he would if he came to visit, he would bring you a clothes hamper full of shrimp, or a clothes hamper full of lobster tails, or you know what I mean? Because they used to steal trucks. They used to steal and that's all he did for a living his entire life. He was a thief, and everyone knew it, but no one acknowledged it, And he got involved with the Johnston gang, which was big around Philadelphia, and he stole the Andrew Wyeth paintings, and then he fenced them, and they got caught. So when I was in 8th and 9th grade, they were fixing the telephone pole in front of my parents' house for 2 years. It was the FBI. My phones were tapped, and we would pick up our phone, and you would hear a beep, because my aunt, my uncle's wife, my mom's sister, was living with us, and he turned state's evidence. So he only got 15 years or something like that, because he turned state's evidence on all these guys, but they were watching her. So then years later, at this crime, we used to have the ladder that they used to break in. The part of the payment for the crime was a 56 Chevy, and the fence was some other guy. Well, later when I marry Missy, and her sister marries her husband's dad was the fence, and the 56 Chevy my uncle bought from Missy's grandfather to use for part of the trade for this picture. I didn't know Missy. I didn't meet her till I was in college. You know what I'm saying? It was just one of those.
So your wife also has a theft story in her history.
Well, he just sold a car. They just sold a car, so it wasn't. They didn't know any. They didn't know any more about it until they met me. You know what I mean?
But either way, that makes it even better. They were involved in this thing without knowing that they were involved in this thing.
Yeah. Unrelated to Star Wars, but that what's reminding me with all this news coverage, because then years later, one of those guys broke out of jail, and we were worried because I had bought my grandfather's house, and we were like, oh crap, if he comes looking for my aunt and uncle who don't live anywhere near here anymore, he's going to come to our house. It's not. Fun times. The crime lords in Star Wars are much easier to get along with. So.
Yeah, because you can see them a mile away, whether it's the Fellines or the Hutt gang.
Yeah, but I haven't. And Ken, I haven't read the newest book of short stories. Have you got that, the Return of the Jedi one?
I did. I read some of them. I haven't. There's one of the greatest things about the books, From a Certain Point of View, is there are 40 stories on background characters from that movie. And I can't think of a single other franchise, whether it's a comic book related one or a sci-fi related one, where there are 40 extra characters that they could write stories about that anybody else would want to read.
Right. Well, or even the backgrounds, like if you look at any movies, I think that's one of the things that sets Star Wars apart. Like if you look at Battlestar Galactica, just look at the background. Don't look at the sets or the special effects as much, but just look at what's in the background. It's nothing to the complexity of what's put in a Star Wars movie. You know, like I think George just didn't like empty space.
Well, he didn't like empty space, and over time, the things that filled that empty space got stories behind, or like with the West End games, it got explained, or there was details given to it, like this blaster has a name and that speeder has a name, and it was manufactured by such and such company, and it could go so fast and it could carry so much weight. I mean,
Yeah,
it's amazing, and the other cool thing about the stories is they're written by so many different people. So you've got one story that's written by Kristen Baver, who is
yep,
now on StarWars.com, and she's been involved in some other books. There's a story about Max Rebo written by Phil Stostak.
yeah.
So there's just so many cool authors who have put their time and energy into telling, whether it's 3 pages or more,
Yep.
about some of these characters that started off on the screen and then became action figures, and now 40 years later are part of a bigger thing.
Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I'm trying to get Kristen on Zoe's show, so that's the. She saw my Millersville hat when we were in London when we were talking to him, and she's like, "Hey, she went to Kutztown, which is one of the state schools in like Millersville."
Well, if you want to get her on your show, just tell her how much you like Sliced Noodles. I mean, she's
Well, I know. I know she's agreed. It's just if you ever have to deal with that, you have to go through. You don't go through Lucasfilm. You have to go through the book company.
oh yeah, DK Publishing.
Yeah, so it's just
One thing that I hope happens, so that book, from a certain point of view about Return of the Jedi, I hope they do the rest of the movies, but I hope they don't wait for 40 years.
yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I want to be able to read them too.
Yeah, I mean, they could do one like the 25th. So maybe for the prequel trilogy, maybe it's 25 stories
Right.
at the 25-year mark or something like that.
Maybe John will write one.
I don't know. I don't read to begin with, so
You should give it a try once in a while. Books on tape, man. Come on.
I know. I've got 13 Audible credits right now. I need to use them because I'm paying for it for nothing.
I
Well,
would
one of those.
try like the Ahsoka book, the C-3PO book. Give them a try.
The funny thing is, I own the Ahsoka book. I own the paperback.
Yeah, I own a paperback. I like the audio better because Ashley Eckstein read it.
Really?
And the IMC 3PO is read by Anthony Daniels.
Yeah, and
I have that on Audible.
the
I
C-3PO.
actually listened to that one.
The C-3PO one I read and listened to like back and forth. So
Actually, that brings up a silly segue, or a silly, tangential kind of conversation. If you were to go to the prequel trilogy and you had to pick one background character from each of those 3 movies to write a story about, who would you pick?
I am trying to think.
Who doesn't already have a book?
Ken's reading Rainbow.
I didn't have the music.
Got to put on my best LeVar Burton.
See, you know what who I always liked is the 2 TIE pilots that were with Vader in New Hope.
Didn't they retroactively make them I forget
Tag and Binks.
Tag and Binks.
Yeah, I don't think they did that.
They did. I think they did the Decipher cards. I think they made some distinctive things about them on the Decipher card game in the 90s, but nothing, But they were in New Hope. They were all women, so they'd have to be women pilots.
Well, that's the original trilogy. Who would you? We'll go the first 3 movies. Who would you pick from the Phantom Menace to write a story about? I already have mine.
Oh, what was the guy's name in the pod race? He really long neck, smashed his console when it didn't start.
I
Come on,
Ben-
Ken.
Not Ben Quadraneros.
No, he was the chunkier fellow.
yeah, I know who you mean, but I would want to do a pit droid. I would just want to do a random pit droid.
Okay. I would do one on Kitster.
Okay, there we go. Kitster and what almost became young Greedo.
And that was Warwick Davis, wasn't it, in costume?
I think so. But yeah,
So
yeah,
definitely.
I would have to do. I would do a pit droid. I think, though. You know what? The other one would be one of those R2s on the Queen ship.
The ones that got blasted into space.
Make it. Like I could see one saying, "This is my last mission," and then I get to retire.
They get to retire. If only I knew what to do. I need a hobby.
Yeah, yeah.
Rats Tyrell, that was his name.
Okay.
No, but I could just see that droid saying, he'd be talking similar to the guy on Lethal Weapon that Murtaugh, was that Murtaugh? No. Who was
Danny Glover's
yeah,
character?
what was his character? That was just about to retire and then he had to bomb on the toilet. Man, people complain about Star Wars being stupid. Just me saying there was a guy sitting on a bomb toilet,
Yes. So that's Phantom Menace. How about Attack of the Clones?
Clones. Dex, but I think he already got one, didn't he?
Yeah.
He did, but it doesn't mean you can't do another one.
I would say Dex that he tried out for a Star Wars reality cooking show.
Like the chef?
Yeah, and there'd be
Like John started a food truck?
there'd be like a Gordon Ramsay type something as the chef,
That would be great because then you could also bring in Cookie from Maz Kanata's castle. And so there's all these.
Be the host.
Yeah.
Like the host,
Yeah, all these other Star Wars chefs that he's competing against or something like that.
Which this is off topic, but we wouldn't be the show if we weren't off topic. I still want to see, and they did it with the cartoons. I still want to see the wildlife shows. I just want to see I would like to see in-universe shows of any kind. Just give me 5-minute shorts of in-universe shows.
Yeah. Who do you have, John, from Attack of the Clones?
I don't know. I really don't. I'm blanking on everyone's name. The Geonosian Emperor.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
The one who hands the Death Star plans to Count Dooku.
Okay.
I feel like the Geonosians have really gotten kind of swept under the rug, aside from the one arc in Clone Wars and the one episode in Rebels.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The Geonosians could have easily gone the way of what they did with the Sand People. In the sense that they used them as symbolic characters to teach about genocide and stuff. You know who doesn't get a lot of time, and you think he would, is Jango Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like
He was
a
in the
lot of that.
comic.
I feel like a lot of that is because they used him in the Bounty Hunter game. I don't know if it came up before or after the movie.
Oh, okay. I think, yeah, I know what you're, yeah. I'm just saying he's like one of those characters, though, that we know a lot about a certain segment of his life, but nothing else.
Yeah, like what was the relationship with him and Zam?
Yeah. Zam would be another one. And was Zam male or female?
Well, does it matter which form it's in? Like,
Well, I'm saying like that could be a whole,
Yeah.
Zam.
For me, I would do a story on Alonsley's Bagano.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
it would be
Should have
it
seen that coming.
it would take place before he went into the Outlander bar and met up with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and afterwards, and how he decided to go home and rethink his life.
Well, wait a minute. What if his daughter was the girl that Obi-Wan met in that was Ewan's real daughter.
Yeah, that'd make an interesting twist. And we'll start off with John for this next one because it's his favorite movie of
Yes.
all time, Revenge of the Sith.
Baron Papanoida. I had to Google the name.
George Lucas's character.
George Lucas.
Yeah.
I want to know what him and his daughter were up to.
So similarly, I don't have a specific character in mind, but I would like to learn a story about some of the other people that were in attendance at that opera.
That was my second choice because they were all the extras were all stagehands, producers, writers, FX artists.
I would like to know about the guys that were working on that on Mustafar, that were just those droids that were working, and all of a sudden these two lightsaber wielding Jedi come. They're just trying to get their lava, Or there could have been one of the guys that were in the meeting that what's his name killed all. Can you imagine there was that one guy? It was like he was there, but not for any other reason than like he was like one of those guys like helper, or they're like so and so reported off. We need you to go.
Yeah, we got some extra work.
Yeah,
we need to work some overtime this week. Oh, how about the two Imperial guards, the royal guards that were in the Senate chamber when Yoda came in, and then he slammed him against the wall and knocked him unconscious? Like, what was their day like?
You think they got fired? I would like to see that the next day when Palpatine, did they get in trouble?
I don't know. Palpatine barely beat Yoda. How's he going to expect his guards to?
Yeah, but that's usually when you take it out on your underlings. What's the point of being a boss if you can't, take it out on your underlings?
That's true.
How did you even let him in the room?
Yeah. Now, do you think they search for Yoda's lightsaber? Like, is that still laying in the bottom there?
Well, that in and of itself could be a fun story.
Yeah. Like someone finds it.
Like one of the mouse droids who cleans up.
Porg on it, shoots something.
Well, because, if you think about it, where was it from Revenge of the Sith up until the Book of Boba Fett? How did Luke get it?
Oh, right. Well, maybe they're like, look, we got to really deep clean, get the Emperor stink out. Move. There was like that one sofa down at the bottom that no one ever moved, and there's like popcorn and then old Clone Wars stuff in the way.
Somebody threw out half a pizza, and look at this! Look at this couch. Someone threw out a whole couch.
So, but that's where that's the thing with Star Wars, which I've always liked the fan film community. Like I like the one Matt's doing, but I like the fan films that run with something stupid.
Well, Troops, the very first fan film.
Yeah. The Troops.
Hardware
Chad
Wars.
Vader. Huh?
Chad Vader. Yeah.
I love Chad Vader.
Chad Vader. Me and the girls used to watch that religiously. Pink 5. Have you guys seen Pink 5?
I think I've seen a couple episodes of it on YouTube.
Pink 5 is one of the ones that it progressively gets not. I don't want to say worse, but the best one is the first one. And then it just, Pink 5 is a good one. But that's what, and it comes what you said earlier with just all the stuff that is packed in and they don't explain it. I think that was George's, one of the keys is he didn't come out with a compendium of what everything meant. If they would have came out with the books we have now, like the eyewitness books that tells you every piece, I think that would have ruined some of it because they kind of organically grew,
Well, and it organically grew out of curiosity and stuff from the fans, as well as to to complement the merchandising. So when you look at the original set of toys,
Yeah.
most of the toys had just arbitrary names, names that the makers, when they were putting together the models, used in the background, like Squid Head and Prune Face and that sort of stuff.
If this was the Star Wars universe, they were basically made figures were all racial slurs. You
Yeah.
know,
Hammerhead,
Hammerhead.
Walrus Man.
We've talked about this before, but that original 12 they picked, it is, I don't understand how certain ones got in that first 12. Like Grand Moff Tarkin was not in any of those figures, but the
Well, if we look at kind of when it all took place, so they went to sell. They wanted to get toy manufacturers to make these toys in March of '77. The movie came out in May of '77. So I'm going to guess that when Lucasfilm, when George and the team went to these toy makers, they only had so many images to say, here are some of the things from the movie. And
yeah.
so it only had so many characters in those pictures. And that's all that the toy manufacturers had to go on.
Oh yeah, I know. It's just funny it's just funny the ones they picked, like the Death Star. What were they called? Death Star guards or Death Star troopers or whatever they were called.
Well, there was the Death Star droid.
No, they and the Death. Yeah, well, the Death Star droid's probably the weirdest one out of the first 12 because he literally is on the screen for
Moments.
If you say Death Star droid, he's off the screen by the time you finish saying his name.
Well, if you want to have some fun, you should watch the vintage toy commercials from that time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, there was the early bird commercial where it was like, buy this thing. You're not going to get the toys now, but you'll get it at a later date.
That did not fly with my grandparents. I tried, and they're like, nope. So we wound up getting Micronauts. Micronauts held my interest until the Star Wars toys came. Have you ever seen Micronauts, John?
I have not.
They're basically things to murder your children because every single thing is a worse choking hazard than the next. Like picture the original vintage Star Wars figures, but the feet would come off, the hands would come off, the head would come off
very easily.
And they were like, you broke them half the time just taking them out. And there were two kinds. They were super thin plastic or made of metal. And so if you had a metal first and you played with them, that was fine. But you bought the plastic clear one, Time Traveler, I think his name was. Like you would break him like all the time. But they were like a buck. They were like $1.29 or something like that.
Well, even the original Star Wars figures were only like $1.50 or something like that when they came out.
When they went up to over $1.79 is when my grandmother started getting a little leery. Like $2 for a toy.
And what's funny is if you go back and listen to episode 19 of The Forces Behind Star Wars, where we talked to some of the makers, they joked around and said that, in their early days, they would tell people that they were in the landfill business because they would make these really inexpensive toys that either got broken, to your point, or the pieces would get lost, or they would just end up in the bin.
Yeah. I don't know, though. Those Star Wars toys would hold up because they only had if you had a stormtrooper, it only had the 2 legs and 2 arms that moved. Those things are
no, and it's I think its head turned a little bit.
No, the original one, it was one piece.
Oh, the torso. That's right.
That's
right.
I got so used to seeing those stormtroopers that when I saw the first action figure with Luke with the helmet, it didn't look right because you just got so used to seeing that.
Yeah, that's right. All that solid from the head to the waist and just the arms and and it was only in one plane, or it only had one joint.
And that was that, and that I that was some good figures, but and they're re-releasing them. Did either of you get onto Did either of you buy the? Did we ask about this? The Ghost.
I did not get on that.
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. So
I can hardly afford to pay my bills, let alone drop $500 on a ghost that I'm still not happy
that's
about.
when I wound up spending the most money when I was flat broke. I was like, well, I can't pay one. I might as well not pay 5.
Yeah.
But
Have them come after me. I got nothing.
well, because I went back and forth, and I just had vehicle issues. I was like, look, I gotta pay for my car. But I just it's a beautiful piece. But where am I going to put it? Like realistically,
It's bigger than the Razor Crest.
yeah, it's as big as it might even be bigger than that big Falcon.
I think it might be, honestly.
And I have that, and I can barely display that. You know, like I don't have a foyer to put my my giant collectibles or a the different rooms like the guys from Clue. You know, so but
Well, we recently went to, there was an event in Oaks, Pennsylvania called RetroCon. And so they have folks from classic shows and stuff. This past weekend there was cast members from the Dukes of Hazzard and things like this. And then it's also a toy and game convention, so you can buy all sorts of stuff. It was the first time I had seen somebody selling loose 6-inch figures. So 6-inch Black Series figures.
yeah,
And they were selling the loose ones, some with weapons and some without, for the same price as the new ones on the pegs now. So
yeah.
they were selling loose figures for $25 and more.
Well, how long's the Black Series been out?
Oh boy.
I'd say about a
2000
decade at this point.
Yeah, 2012, I think. Because they switched up their packaging in 2015 when they launched the Force Awakens stuff.
Well, yeah, because I had a TK in the old packaging.
Right, because
Well,
they had the blue box and the orange box.
Yeah, I had a black
So-
and orange, I think it was.
Yeah.
Black, orange, and silver.
Yeah, that was the first line.
Yeah.
The second line was the blue stripe, and then they switched over to the red and black boxes for a while.
then they upped the game where they started making the boxes as fancy as the figures.
I hate the boxes, but I love the art.
Yeah, and unfortunately the art is only on part of it, so it's
Well, because it creates a mural. That's what they were going for.
Yeah.
So if you get the whole, if you get the whole collection, then you have a nice art piece.
Yeah.
well
But-
that's only if you
That's only if you get the whole collection.
And if you don't display them, if you want to display them where you can't see them.
if you only want to display the mural, the sides of them, you don't get to see the figures. And then they changed it within the last couple years where they got rid of the clear plastic because they wanted to be more environmentally friendly.
Oh,
And
they've
the
already
fans
they already said to hell with that.
yeah, and then they're going back to it. And so it's, and even some of the inks on the artwork was like metallic or glossy or glimmery, so they were gorgeous. John's absolutely right. The artwork is fantastic, but I think the fantastic artwork is wasted on packaging for a toy. If you're going to do some fancy artwork like that, make the artwork all by itself and have it be something separate. And then the prices went up because they were spending so much money on the packaging.
Yeah, I'm glad they're going back to the windowed look. Obviously, I mean it sucks because plastic is plastic. It's horrible for the environment. However, as a selfish first world inbox collector, being able to see the paint app on the figure that I'm buying, especially from Hasbro, is a huge win. That's a massive plus.
Yeah.
Well, but once again, it's only a massive plus if that's how you display it.
Right.
If you display it like a mural, you don't see the figure anyway because you're looking at the ends of it. You're looking at the spine of the box.
Then you just got to buy two, Ken. You got to buy a display. Now you got
I already buy two most of the time.
to buy
You're-
one to open, one to display this way, one to display that way.
Someone's watching SNL. Do you guys remember that SNL skit from when The Force Awakens came out? It was the adult collectors. It's like, you always got to buy 3. one to display, one to hold its value, and one to take out of the box.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Mm.
That's the that's where with the ghost and with the figures, I kind of had to say no. But the only thing now that's getting me is those new ships that they're like they come with the little tiny figures.
The Micro Squadron.
Yeah, micro. I was like, oh man,
Are those the Jazzwares ones?
I think so. Yeah.
yeah. They just have, but they have like the drop ships. They have a bunch of different drop ships.
They just put out the V-wing too.
Yep, I saw that.
We got one at one of those like the Amazon return sellers.
Yeah.
So someone they had it. It was a Bo-Katan's gauntlet.
Yeah.
We got it for like $1.50.
Nice.
So the box was destroyed, so we took it out. But they're so detailed for being so small.
Yeah. Well, they remind me of the micro machines that came out in the
early 2000s. Yeah.
And I used to have a whole wall display of them at my old.
Well, they were out even before that because Demetrius, when he interned at Kenner, he worked on some of the micro machine stuff.
Yeah, well, they first came out with the ones that were it was like a Darth Vader head, and it would open up into a diorama.
A scene almost.
And yeah, I think they started those in '97 when they brought back the Power of the Force.
Yeah, the big ones were called Action Fleet.
Gotcha.
The micro machines were tiny ones. They came out.
Right.
Action Fleet were just slightly bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And because they came out with like the TIE bomber and all these ships that
See, I always wanted to buy one of the packs of like because they did the vehicles and then they did packs of characters.
Yep.
They look like really small army men where they had the base on the feet.
Yep.
And I always wanted to do a terrarium display out of them.
I have a pack of Tuscans around here somewhere. So, and I have. Oh no, I don't have. I took it down. I have the Bantha. I have the Bantha and Sand People too. I used to have Jawas. Like when the girls were little, we just anything that had a Jawa on it, we bought.
Well, on a quick closing note,
yes,
to complete the circle. I have used 5 of my 12 Amazon Audible credits.
Nice.
So I will let you guys decide which the first book I listened to is.
Okay.
So here are the 5 that I got.
And then we'll do a book review. If me and Ken haven't read it, we'll read it.
Right. I'm sure you've read all of these. So I got, and I'm neglecting the Fellowship of the Ring that I've been trying to listen to for like 6 months, but I don't know if I've got another 18 and a half hours.
I'm going
left
to guess that Mike's read that, and I know I've read it a bunch of times.
I read those books like 4 times riding to school every day because we didn't have the internet. That was the internet to me when I was like in 6th grade.
All right, so we've got Ahsoka, Heir to the Empire, and then all 3 of the Thrawn books.
I'd go with Ahsoka first.
Yeah, me too.
Good, because that's the shortest. It's 7 hours compared to the average of 13 for the rest.
I know the Thrawn books, the new Thrawn books.
So I got the 3 new Thrawn books, and then the first Thrawn book, the Heir to the Empire book.
I'm the older books are okay. I know people love them, but I still think someone your age, I think you're going to appreciate the newer ones better. Because I think the older ones are could come across hokey, I think.
Well, and you would just be reading. Not saying that reading it for fun is a bad thing, but you would be reading it and you would just be picking up some of the inspirations for what you see, but it wouldn't be a one-to-one connection. And from what I understand, I thought there were 6 new Thrawn books. I thought there were 2 trilogies.
No, that's I have to talk to Zoe. But I also think the older Star Wars books that I read, even Shadow of the Empire and stuff, they always felt more science fiction-y to me. Also, they felt like Star Wars books and science fiction, where the new Star Wars books just feel like Star Wars books, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got the first trilogy. At least I got all of them in the right trilogy, because there is the Thrawn, just Thrawn, and then there is Thrawn Ascendancy.
Well,
And then there's another one after that, and then I thought there was another 3 after that.
well, and
Ken, I
then
only have so many credits.
maybe we need like an Oprah book club. You know, like a.
Oh, I don't put that kind of pressure on me, Mike.
Oh well, no, but once you listen to them, the other thing is you should talk to Zoe, because that would be a good crossover episode for your podcast and hers if you did an Ahsoka talk. No, I mean,
The the non-book reader versus the religious book reader.
but that's what I'm. But that's
Who are
what
both Star Wars fans.
I'm saying. I mean, that would be a good crossover for both your shows too. Record a show, and because Lizzie doesn't read the book, so Zoe doesn't really get to do book reviews with Lizzie.
So it sounds like I should just do an episode with Lizzie then.
No, read the book.
Yeah, start with reading the. Yeah. Oh, actually, no. Let's go back. Listen to the book.
Listen to which is reading with your ears.
Yeah, honestly, I might do what I did with the Dr. Aphra book, the audio drama, and I
If
might.
you say put it on twice the speed.
No, actually, believe it or not, because I'll listen to like some podcasts on double speed.
Oh man,
And-
that's sacrilegious, man. That's like rushing through
You don't understand some of the podcasters I listen to, Mike.
Okay.
They all
Podcasters
talk
and books
like
aren't
this.
necessarily. I mean, they're both auditory, yes, but
Look, if you don't talk at a normal speaking cadence, and I can't follow along because you talk like this, then I'm gonna crank the speed up a little bit.
Well, that's why the Lucasfilm books are so much better though, because they're almost like directed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I've listened to other like educational material that is on recording, and oh my god, it's you wish you could just do it. You know, I told you what when the girls first started doing her podcast, Missy listened to an episode and she said, "Look, can you tell them to slow down?" And I looked at her podcatcher and she was listening to 1.5.
sure, I'll tell them for the next episode. Then you just switch it on her and don't let her know.
That and when they had Maddie is a girl that cosplays Sabine and did it a lot with Lizzie years ago, and she was a couple years younger than the girls. And Victoria is the stuffed bear that the paralysis dress up like Chopper. Victoria's arm fell off. They were talking about how her arm fell off and they got fixed, and Missy listened and thought they were talking about Maddie.
Oh dear. But what I was trying to say before we got on this double speed tangent, I might just read along with the audiobook in the background so I can. It ties up my hands.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, that Ahsoka book is really good. Like, and this will sound dumb from someone me. The Queen's the trilogy of Padme books, especially since you like Revenge of the Sith, the trilogy of the Padme books do for some of the things in Phantom Menace that the Clone Wars does for the movies. You know how the Clone Wars like kind of made everything even better.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to those Queen's Peril and I forget the name of all three.
Queen's Gambit, Queen's Peril, and Queen's something.
If you listen to those three, it makes the parts of Phantom Menace when you're like, why does she have all these? You know, it makes that so much better. It makes the pageantry of Naboo so cool. Like it makes
Yeah. Hey, look! Don't knock the Padme books, and don't sell yourself short. I got halfway through The Princess and the Scoundrel.
Oh, okay.
That was a good read for the half that I read.
Well, focus on Ahsoka.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? We didn't talk about our inflatable Falcon. I am still toying around with. We'll close with two things. I'm still toying around with the GoFundMe for that, and Ken and I were talking too about the Unifying Fandom Network, trying to get that off the ground in a web form and as a fan group. So
Yeah, more social fan group.
Yeah, social fan group. So, we'll see what happens. I don't know, what we can do more, but I just think we're on the cusp of stuff. And Marty's friends with the people that run RetroCon. I used to troop with the guy. The guy used to be in a 501st that runs RetroCon. His wife used to do the Baroness from
G.I. Joe.
Joe. So I'm going to try to reach out to them before next RetroCon and see about a table/panel there.
Where is RetroCon?
Oaks, Pennsylvania.
Oaks, Pennsylvania. Sorry,
It's just outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's north of Philly.
Cool.
It's probably the greatest venue for any cons ever. Like, the only downside is like there's nothing to do around it really. But the con is like I never feel crowded in an Oaks con. So
it'll probably be in 360 days from now.
Yeah.
Ish.
Okay, that gives me plenty of time to plan. Hopefully CCE is in the same weekend.
And I got Fan Expo that I'm going to hit them up a couple more. I'm sure we'll get another panel at Fan Expo. I'm going to try to get us a table at Fan Expo as well. So.
Wow, they had all the Dukes there.
That's what I said.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I zoned out for a sec. It happens. I'm sorry. My brain just shuts off at random points. I was just having this conversation earlier. You could be staring me directly in the face, and I will be... There's a scene from Futurama where Fry is riding the Scooty Puff Jr., and it's just... That's my brain.
Well, hi, I'm Ken. I'm from the Rambling Star Wars fan and the forces behind Star Wars.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if our chat was working tonight or if anyone listened tonight, but we will close this off, and then we have a few things to talk about. And so
thanks for another fun one.
So it's been a good one, and here it goes.
Starships, but then my Falcon's hyperdrive just slipped. I used to worry about the future, but then I threw my caution to the wind. I had no reason to be carefree, no, until I took a trip to the treetop side of town. Yeah, you know I heard that wiki real